Welcome back to Module 5, Lesson 1, Simplifying Algebraic Expressions. You can see Sharu has decided he needs some attention now, and we'll see how long he can behave. He likes to bite my chin, and then he gets put down. Here we're starting off with example number 3, just like I promised. We have 3/4 A minus 2/3 minus 1/2 A plus 5/6. And we're going to work it just like the others we worked before. We're going to take and use our commutative property to rearrange it, and then after that we're just going to take and combine those like terms that we have rearranged. So we start off with the original problem just like we've always done, and then from there we're going to take and switch to making the subtraction problems into addition problems by adding the negatives. Essentially, we're making the ugly problem pretty. After you make the ugly problem pretty, well, then we're going to take and use your commutative property, or making your pretty problem ugly, my bad. We're going to use our commutative property and rearrange them so that the like terms are together. So now you get 3/4 A plus a negative 1/2 A plus 2/3 plus, negative 2/3 and plus 5/6. From there, we're going to have to find the least common denominators of each term. So the least common denominators of the A term is going to be 4. So now I have 3/4 A plus a negative 2/4 A, and I would have gone ahead in that step and made the ugly problem pretty by multiplying the signs again. And then the other pair of numbers are constants. You have got a least common denominator of 6. So I get plus a negative 4/6 plus 5/6. From there, you're going to simplify by combining the like terms. 3/4 minus 2/4 left you with 1/4. And then negative 4/6 plus 5/6. Signs are different. Find the difference. Sign for a larger number went in front of the answer. That was a positive 1/6. Which you're going to put into the final answer right here. Alright folks, now it's your turn. Take a minute, pause the video, solve this problem on your own, check your answers, and then I'll put Sharu down and we will do the same thing here. Okay, I made Sharu get down, and now it's going to be time for us to make the pretty problem ugly by unmultiplying the signs. So right here, this minus 1/9 x, that's going to be plus a negative 1/9 x plus 3/4, and the minus 2/3 x, that's going to become plus a negative 2/3 x. And by changing it to addition, it allows us to use a commutative property of addition. Now we're going to take and regroup them. So I'm going to have my variable numbers first, 1/9 x, and that's a negative 1/9 x, plus a negative 3/4 x. I'm sorry, that's not 3/4 x, that's 2/3 x. I was looking at the wrong numbers. 2/3 x. And then we're going to do plus the constant 1/8, and then plus the constant 3/4. Make my ugly problem pretty, and at the same time, I'm going to take and find the least common denominator. So I have negative 1/9. Positive times a negative means minus a 2/3. I'm sorry, I want to change that to a common denominator of 9. So that's becoming minus 6/9 x plus 1/8, and that is going to be plus the common denominator of, that's going to make that a 6/8. From there, signs are the same. Find the sum. That's going to give me a negative 7/9. That's an 8. I need a 9 there. X. And here, signs are the same. Find the sum again. Plus 7/8. Everything is a proper fraction, so that should be our final answer. So I have a negative, oh, they didn't do it in descending order like they're supposed to. But I have a negative 7/9 x plus 7/8 x. A is the one that matches that up there. Check our answer, and the answer does indeed check. I don't like the way they wrote this. You're going to learn later in the math, the standard form is a descending order where you use a variable with the largest exponent first and then keep going down, and your constants like 7/8, 7/8 should always be on the end. The next thing we're going to do is learn how to expand linear expressions. Let's go ahead and get all these loading. There we go. the distributive property can be used to expand linear expressions. It says select a card to learn more. So in words, it says to multiply the sum or difference by a number, you multiply each term in the parentheses by the number outside the parentheses. We've covered this before, but we're going to cover it again. And then in symbols, we can say that here, A times the sum of B and C, well, that's the same thing as saying A times B plus A times C. Same thing applies for subtraction. And then when you're actually having it with numbers, 4 times the product of x and 2, that's the same thing as 4 times x plus 4 times 2, which gives you 4x plus 8, and the same thing works in subtraction. Now you could also model the distributive property with algebraic expression using algebra tiles. So here you see they've got the expression x plus 2 being modeled. And if they wanted to take and double that, so 2 times x plus 2, well, that would mean 2x plus 2 times 2, which you can see now they have 2 x's there and they have 2 2's there, which when you group your like terms again, gives you 2x plus 4 for your final answer. So let's start actually applying this to some numbers. Here we have 4 times the sum of negative 3x and 6. It's the sum because they have that addition problem right, or sign right there. So what are we going to do? We're going to take that 4 and we're going to distribute it all the way through the grouping symbols. And you can see here they've taken the 4, multiplied it times the negative 3x, and they took the 4 and multiplied it times the 6. 4 times negative 3 is going to give you negative 12, and the x comes with it. And then 4 times 6, that of course is going to be 24. Check your answer. And, not sure why that one's wrong. Let's see what they said the right answer is. They said negative 12. Oh, that's why, because they had the x right there in front of it. I missed the fact that they gave us an x. So your answer is going to become negative 12x plus 24. Same answer I got. I just didn't realize they gave us an x ahead of time. Now it's going to be your turn to pause the video, solve this problem, check your answer. I look forward to seeing how many of you get it right. Did you get it right? This is how I do it. I use my distributive property. Of course, write the original problem first, then use your distributive property, negative 7 times the negative 2x plus 7 times 3y. From there, 7 times negative 2, that is going to become negative 14x plus 7 times 3, that's going to be 21y, and that is all there is to doing this problem. That's going to be your final answer. Come back over here, negative 14x plus 21y. I think that's the answer I came up with. Yep, it checks. Must be the right answer. But what if we had subtraction? Would it work the same way? It would. Now, the textbook gave us a problem that's written funky, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like it. Very few mathematicians will write it this way. We don't like to take and put the number being multiplied after the parentheses. It's just not right. Okay? We always put it before the parentheses. But the textbook did, so we're going to do what the textbook said to do. From there, of course, you're going to have to take and use your distributive property and distribute that 3 through your grouping symbols, and hopefully the internet will catch up here in a minute. There it is. So you got your original problem. Next thing you know, they took and made the pretty problem ugly, which I don't know that I would have done it that way, but that's what they chose to do. So you made your pretty problem ugly. I can understand why they did that. From there, they distributed the 3 through the grouping symbols, and now they're going to put it on the front. 3 times 2x plus 3 times negative 5. And this is why they made the pretty problem ugly. They had to take have a space to put that 3 and multiply it times the negative 5y. Down the road, you're not going to really do that, because down the road, you're not going to show this step. We're not down the road yet. We're on the road, and since we're still on the road, you have to show this step where they make the pretty problem ugly. After making the pretty problem ugly and distributing 3 through it, it's time to simplify. 3 times 2x, that's going to become 6x. 3 times negative 5y, that's going to become negative 15y. And the very last step is make that ugly problem pretty again, and making your ugly problem pretty is going to give you your final answer of 6x minus 15y, which of course you're going to circle. You can type it in there if it gives you a warm fuzzy feeling. I'm not going to do that. From here, it's going to be your turn to take and solve this problem on your own. Make sure you're making your pretty problem ugly. Make sure you're showing me your distribution where you're distributing the 4 through the grouping symbol, and then make your ugly problem pretty again before putting in your final answer. Did you get it right? Let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to start off by making my pretty problem ugly. Negative 3x plus a negative 8 all times 4. Then I'm going to use the distributive property. So I'm going to do 4 times a negative 3x plus 4 times my negative 8. 4 times negative 3, that's going to give negative 12x plus 4 times negative 8, that's become negative 32. Final step, make the ugly problem pretty again. Negative 12x, positive times a negative is a negative 32. Got my x there, and that is going to be my final answer. Jump over here. Negative 12x minus 32, and check. The answer checks. It really is this simple. However, as simple as it is, this is still showing your work. This is what I must see. If I see anything else on each and every problem of your homework tonight, you got it. You've done it just for fun. Our last example problem involves distributing a negative number. I think y'all already know how to do this, but we're going to do it together just to make sure, because I have a sneaky suspicion you're going to see some of these on your homework tonight. So we got to distribute that negative 5 through the entire grouping symbol, and as soon as it loads up, there we go. So I've got negative 5 I'm distributing through everything in here. Now this is a minus 9, so what do we have to do first? We have to make the pretty problem ugly by taking that minus 9 and turning it into plus a negative 9. After we made the pretty problem ugly, it's time to distribute the negative 5. So I have negative 5 times the negative 2x plus, this time we have to put the negative 5 in parentheses because there is a plus sign in front of it, negative 5 times the negative 9. Negative 5 times a positive 2, that's going to leave you with a negative 10x, and then negative 5 times negative 9, that's a positive 45. That's your final answer, negative 10x plus 45. Put it in here if it makes you happy. I'm not going to do that. I'm happy already. Now it's your turn. Pause the video, work the problem. Make the pretty problem ugly, use your distributive property, make the ugly problem pretty, send it in the final answer. Okay, it's my turn again. I'm going to start off by making the pretty problem ugly. Negative 8 times 5x plus a negative 9 in parentheses here. Notice my double set of parentheses. From there we're going to use our distributive property. Negative 8 times 5x plus, in parentheses, negative 8 times, in parentheses, a negative 9. Negative 8 times a positive 9, that's going to become negative 40x plus negative 8 times negative 9, that is a positive 72, which is going to be our final answer. Jump back over here, negative 40x plus 72, and check. The answer checks. The last thing we have to do is the apply problem, and this one's going to be pretty darn tough because there's a lot of work that has to be done in it. It says that the side lengths of the two triangles are shown, represent the perimeter of each triangle with an expression in simplest form. Then determine which triangle has a greater perimeter if x is equal to 3. Will this be true for any positive value of x? Justify your response. So what we have to do, of course, is going to start off by finding the perimeter or the distance around each triangle by adding the 3 sides. That's going to involve some distributive property too. From there, of course, you're going to have to take and substitute in 3 for the value of x in each of them and see what the final answer is to find out which one is going to be larger if the perimeter is equal to 3. So I've set up my problem where I've already got the addition set up. First thing I need to do is use my distributive property right here and distribute that 3 through the grouping symbol. So the next line is say 10, plus 4x plus 3 times 4x plus a negative 5, making that pretty problem ugly. Now we're going to distribute the 3 through it. 10 plus 4x, that should be an x there, plus 3 times 4x plus 3 times a negative 5. From there, 10 plus 4x plus 3 times 4x, that's 12x, plus 3 times a negative 5, that's going to be negative 15. Now I get to use a commutative property to rearrange them, and I'm going to do 4x plus a negative, plus 12x, got things out of order, plus 10 plus a negative 15. These two I'm going to go ahead and combine. 4 plus 12 is going to give me 16x plus, and then we'll make the ugly problem pretty, 10 minus 15, which means my final answer here, 16x minus 5. Now that is going to be the first part of that problem. I also have to find out what it's going to equal when x equals 3. So 16 times 3 minus 5 is equal to, that's going to be 30 plus 18, which is 48. 48 minus 5 is going to be, well, let me go ahead and write that down here, 48 minus 5, and that would of course equal to 43. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other problem, where I'm going to be using my distributive property over here. If I can get this thing to work, there it goes. So I'm going to start off by, I don't have to make any ugly or pretty problems ugly. I'm just going to take 11 plus 3 times a negative 2x plus 3 times 9 plus 5x. From there, 3 times a negative 2x, that's going to be a negative 6x. So 11 plus a negative 6x plus 3 times 9 is 27 plus 5x. Now it's time to use a commutative property to rearrange these things so that they work for us. So plus a negative 6, I can just put down a negative 6x in the front, plus 5x, grouping my like terms, plus the 11, plus the 27, negative 6x plus 5x, that is a negative 1x, also known as just negative x, plus 27 plus 11, or vice versa, you're going to get 38. Now that is in simplest form. We're going to take that value, negative x plus 38, and we're going to take from there and plug in the 3 for the x value, negative 3 plus 38, signs are different, find the difference, sign in front of the larger number goes in front of your answer. Now it's time to start answering some of the questions they have here for us. So first off, the perimeter of triangle 1, that was 43. The perimeter of triangle 2, that was 38. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. That one's a simplified expression, so the simplified expression for triangle 1 is 16x minus 5, 16x minus 5. Simplified expression for triangle 2 is negative x plus 38. So negative x plus 38. And then which one has the greater value? That is, of course, going to equal to triangle 1. And everything checks. I love it when a plan comes together. That's it for this lesson. Stop the video, get busy on your homework, bring any questions you have with me to class tomorrow.